Hello, Sid. Hello, Sally. Hello, Sally, my friend. Oremi balama chuchu. Oremi balama chuchu. Oremi balama chuchu, my friend. I remember standing in a queue in Nairobi, not for a concert, for a visa application, not for an opportunity, for permission to remain, permission to keep working, permission to avoid becoming a problem. The strange thing is that just a few weeks earlier, nobody would have looked at me twice. I was the production director at a struggling agency. At least that's what the title said. The reality was less glamorous. I had come to Kenya to help a friend. Years earlier, he came to SA from Douala. As students, we became friends. I helped him in, he needed some work and a couple of works, doing some freelance work here and there. And years later, when his business was struggling, he called me up. I said yes. What was supposed to be 4 months became much longer. Clients were frustrated. Projects were late. Staff salaries were under pressure. The company was drifting, so I did what many people do. I worked. I sat in meetings, I made presentations, I calmed clients, I rebuilt relationships. I made promises and then I had to work long nights to keep those promises. Most of the work happened in the shadows. Nobody outside the company knew what was happening. Nobody knew which accounts we were trying to save. Nobody knew which contracts we were trying to rescue, Nobody knew which salaries depended on those contracts. That's the thing about damage control. If you do it well, nobody notices. Around that same time, I was sending most of my income back home to South Africa. My family needed it more than I did. I kept just enough to survive, to, pay the rent, get some food, to make it to the next month, and a hell of a lot of coffee. Then life happened. Complications, delays, paperwork. The company had problems of its own, the plan to formalize everything properly never quite materialized. And so one day I found myself in a position I never quite imagined. I was no longer a South African working in Kenya. I was an illegal foreigner. Nothing about me had changed. My work hadn't changed. My character hadn't changed. My intentions hadn't changed. Only my status had changed. Yet suddenly, everything felt different. The city felt different. The conversations felt different. The way people looked at me felt different. I remember standing in those immigration queues, hours at a time, moving from one desk to another, being told to get photographs, go home, you got the wrong documents, being told to stand over there and back again, no smiles, no explanations, no interest in my circumstances. And perhaps that was a point. The Lord didn't care about my story, they cared about my paperwork. I remember the dread, not the dramatic kind, the quiet kind, the kind that sits in your stomach, the kind that follows you into meetings, that wakes up beside you. I spent my mornings trying to reassure clients, my afternoons leading teams, my evenings wondering whether I'm still going to be in the country next week. It was a period when things became so difficult, I slept in the vocal booth in the office. Not because I wanted to, because I was trying to survive, trying to hold everything together. trying to keep moving. I remember looking up at that office, thinking how strange it was, the people whose salaries we were fighting to protect. I had no idea what I was carrying. The clients whose businesses we had helped. We were helping stabilize them. I had no idea I was spending hours in immigration queues. The city just carried on. Traffic moved. Meetings happened, deadlines arrived, and underneath sat this quiet fear. What happens if they say no? What happens if the extension doesn't come through? What happens if I have to leave? What happens next? Eventually, through persistence, through connections, through circumstances that were far from ideal, I managed to attain a temporary extension. The immediate feeling was relief, but the lesson stayed with me. Years later, when immigration becomes a political argument, I often think back to that cue. Because I understand something now that I didn't fully understand before. Most people are only one circumstance away from becoming a foreigner. One job, one relationship, one opportunity, one crisis, one border crossing. Most migrants are not movie villains. Most are simply trying to build a life, trying to support a family, trying to survive. I know because for a time I was one of them. At the same time, I also learned something else. Every country has borders. Every country has laws. Every country eventually reaches a point where hospitality ends and administration begins. Kenya didn't make an exception for me because I was helping a company or their people. They didn't make an exception because I was paying rent. They didn't make an exception because I was supporting a family back home. They looked at my documents and they made their decision. At the time, I hated that reality. Today, I understand it. The country has a right to know who's within its borders. A country has the right to regulate immigration. A country has the right to enforce its laws. But there's another truth that sits beside it. On the other side of every passport, there's a human being. A person with responsibilities. A person with fears. A person with a story nobody can see. I learned that in Nairobi. Not in a book, not from a politician, not from a headline. From a queue. From uncertainty. From the quiet humiliation of discovering how quickly a human being can become a category. And from realizing that under slightly different circumstances, any one of us could be standing there.